Acme, and how did it come to be that you assembled the crew and cast that you did?
So I became aware of the project through the grapevine. I had heard about this amazing idea about Wile E. Coyote suing Acme, and I chased it and tried to have a meeting on it, and eventually I did get to have a meeting on it, and there was this article that I read that Ian Fraser had written in 1990 called Coyote versus Acme, which posits in a very kind of straight-faced, serious way this very silly idea. What if Wile E. Coyote were to sue Acme for the 80 years of mistreatment that he's gone through? And what if he were to have an actual decent case? And so that piece kind of informed the entire work tonally, because it was so funny and dry and serious and stupid at the exact same time. And after I read that, I'd already known that I wanted to work on this project, but I kind of invested as much time as I could into pitching on it and presenting my take, which really followed the original article as closely as possible, because I really admired its tone, and I really wondered if we could create something that was kind of like a tonal partner, or something that tonally followed in the footsteps of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid.
Perfectly leads into my next question. What films and projects inspired you during the creation of this film?
I would say Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and also movies like A Few Good Men and Aaron Brockovich and The Verdict and The Insider, honestly. These were courtroom dramas and courtroom thrillers that told great stories, and I would watch these movies and kind of catalog them and like write down why I cared and where I felt surprised and where I felt a twist happening. And it was a joy to watch those movies kind of in a run, because they were so well built and constructed, and they're really inspired a lot of kind of like the plot roadmap in Coyote versus Acme, but also inspired smaller beats from Who Fills Out a Law Room or a Law Office, like supplemental, people working in the file room, just to like, what is the personality of a judge in a courtroom drama? Like, all of these things kind of became ripe for the taking, borrowing, and stealing.
Love it. Now, this isn't your first time directing a feature with a mix of live action and CGI, but what was different about filming Coyote versus Acme, and were there any challenges in particular when it came to visually incorporating the Looney Tunes characters in that aesthetic?
Well, I had made a motion capture movie in the past, and I will say that the process of making a motion capture movie is so much simpler than making a movie like this, because in a motion capture environment, you have an actor who walks on set and you're able to talk to them, and they can ask you questions and you can have a real interaction with them. Wile E. Coyote does not exist, and I learned that the hard way. And my producer, Christofaria, always said the one person who's not going to show up on set is Wile E. Coyote. So we're going to have a process where you work with storyboard artists and animators to workshop Wiley's wants and his needs from scene to scene. So does he want to cross the room here? Does he want to leave here? And the animators would kind of challenge my expectations for what Wiley would be doing, and they would push back and they'd come up with their own ideas, and we'd come up with a gag and then erase that gag and rewrite it, and then, you know, just keep beating our gags until we had the funniest possible idea that was making everyone crack up. And then from there, we went to set with our human cast and a Wile E. Coyote puppet who was built by a puppeteer named Dave Barkley, who's an absolute legend. He worked on The Dark Crystal, and he was a puppeteer of Jabba the Hutt, and he's incredible. And he built Wiley to be kind of, you know, fully articulate, you know, ears, basic facial expressions. And he'd walk across the room and he'd show the actors, like, Wiley's going to sit here, then he's going to go here, and he's going to hold up a stick of dynamite and blow up the room. And then the actors would have something for eyeline, and they would have someone to bounce off of. And even sometimes, you know, a counterweight in the scene so they could bounce off of a puppet and be surprised from moment to moment. So we shot the movie like that, and then in post, it was a process of drawing those characters all over again, kind of in the same way we did in prep, but now with actual movie footage. And they drew on top of that footage to start the process of bringing the movie to life for final animation.
I'd be exhausted.
You're exhausted, right? It's exhausting.
That must have been amazing for the actors and everybody
Yeah.
working on it.
No, but it is a process of, like, we probably made the movie 5 times if you add it up. It could be more if you think about all the layers. Yeah.